Happy Sunday, Flosstube. My name is Melissa, and I blog and I'm on Instagram as Stitcher Mel. My blog is stitchermel.com. I am at Stitcher Mel on Instagram. Even though this is my 8th Flosstube video, I'm kind of going to do a little bit of a reintroduction, only because, one, I've rebranded. In the past, my channel was called The Daily Mel, and it was a combination of paper crafting and cross stitch. And I have subsequently decided I'm going to make this channel exclusively about cross stitch. So for those of you who have been here for the paper crafting, I will not be doing that any longer. So if you're not interested in hearing about my cross stitch, you can certainly feel free to unsubscribe. I will not, take it personally. I know people are not everyone is interested in cross stitch. So I just wanted to be upfront about that. So for those of you who have been coming here for our paper crafting, I will not be doing that any longer. And I have removed all of the paper crafting videos in the process of the rebranding to Stitcher Mel. So now, with that all out of the way, so my last video was 5 months ago. It was in mid-May. We were in the throes of Stitch Mania. Think back to the days of Stitch Mania. And 2 days after I had posted that last video, or recorded that last video, I was diagnosed with a very nasty case of shingles. And I spent a few weeks battling shingles, and I honestly just did not feel up to posting and recording Flosstube videos. I wasn't even doing a whole lot of stitching. I did just enough to kind of keep up with Stitch Mania. I did finish my Stitch Mania, and I'll talk about that in a minute. And then no sooner had I gotten over the shingles when I came down with a very nasty case of strep throat and had to cancel a trip I had planned for the 4th of July. And of course, obviously, it took a while for my voice to recover from that. So by the time I kind of dealt with all the health issues, it had been a couple of months since I had recorded a Flosstube video, and I had kind of lost the momentum of recording them every 2 weeks. And so I just kept putting it off, and now here we are 5.5 months later. So for those of you who may be discovering my channel for the first time, again, my name is Melissa. I live in Southern California. I have been stitching in one form or another since I was 8 years old, and I am 55 now, so you can do the math there. Almost 50 years. How is that even possible? But cross stitch is definitely my preferred method of stitching. I started with embroidery, just traditional hand embroidery. Discovered cross stitch around, I think, my sophomore year maybe of high school. So I was in my teens, and once I discovered cross stitching, I have not done any embroidery since. I mean, I've occasionally, had charts that called for some embroidery type stitches like lazy daisies and things like that. But for the most part, I've done no embroidery since I discovered cross stitching. And then about maybe 10 or 12 years ago, I was introduced to counted canvas, which is a form of needlepoint, but instead of the traditional painted canvases like you would have with needlepoint, everything is counted like cross stitch. So you get the kind of the best of both worlds. You get to do the fun needlepoint stitches, but you're counting just like cross stitch. So I've done a few pieces of that over the years. So as I mentioned earlier, I did complete Stitch Mania. I did a total of 19 projects since it's 2019, and I did the Blimey Cat method, which is basically a combination of your existing whips and new starts. So I think I went, if memory serves, I went into Stitch Mania with either 12 or 13 whips. And then, so I had to augment the rest with new starts. So I ended up there with a total of 19 whips at the end of my Stitch Mania on May 19th. And since then, I have completed 8 of my pieces. So that leaves me with 11 Stitch Mania whips remaining. And so kind of my plan for the 2020 Mania and Mania, because 2019 was my first time participating in Stitch Mania. So my plan going forward is I have a stitching spreadsheet I keep with all my starts and finishes and whips and all that. And I added a tab for Stitch Mania. And so I kept up with what project I worked on which day. And as I finish a piece, that spot now, that day opens up for a new start in 2020. And of course, I'll have a 20th project I'm adding this year. So I'll have 20. So as of now, I will have, since I finished it, I will have 8 spots plus the one for 2020. So I'll have a total of 9 new starts I can pull in. And of course, I have some others I think I'll finish before Stitch Mania 2020 rolls around. So I imagine I'll probably end up with about half and half whips, half new starts for 2020. So, in some other exciting cross-stitch news, I will be going to a retreat next weekend. I will be attending the Fall Fling retreat hosted by Acorns and Threads. And I went back and looked, because I used to attend retreats back 10 plus years ago, fairly regularly. I mean, I would travel around across the country going to them. And the last one I could find any record of me attending was actually in 2011. And that was a local one here in Southern California that the woman who teaches at the LNS I used to go to put on. And it was at a retreat center in Temecula. And so this will be the first retreat I've attended in 9 years. 8 years. No, that was 2010, because this will be 9 years since I've been to one. So I'm really excited. I'm excited to meet some Flosstubers who I know are going to be there, some other Flosstubers. I know that Olivia from Pumpkin Hollow Quilts is going to be there. Christy from Java Girl Stitches is going to be there. Michelle from Michelle Bindi Stitches, she's going to be there. I think Linda Jo, Pretty Southern, is going to be there. Lisa from Kindred Stitches is probably going to be. I imagine most of those Pacific Northwest stitchers in the area will be there. So it'll be fun to get to meet all of those folks. So, and when I was doing my Flosstube videos before, every month I was showing my Ort jar progress. And so I thought I would kind of catch up with that a little bit. So this is my monthly Ort jar. Each month I empty it out and put in my Orts for that month. So these are all of my Orts so far for the month of October. And it's so cool, actually, I can look at this and know exactly by the layering what project I was working on. So yeah, so I'll have a few more days worth of Orts to put in here, but I mean, this is pretty much going to be the October jar since it's the 27th of October already. There's only, counting today, 5 more stitching days for October. So yeah. And here is where I am at so far for the year. I have a larger, these are both Yankee candle containers. And so this is, I believe these are called the medium jar, or maybe a large. I don't remember now. Let's see, how tall is this? This jar is about 5 inches tall. So it's getting pretty full. I'm getting to the point where I'm having to kind of push down the Orts each month to add the new ones in. So it's a pretty nice collection. So that is January through September. So that is 10 months worth of Orts for me, this year at least. Okay, and even though I haven't been recording Flosstubes, I have been stitching. I've got quite a few finishes. So basically I'm sharing everything I have finished since that last video back in May. So the first thing I finished is Partridge in a Pear Tree. This is from the Prairie Schooler 12 Days of Christmas chart. And I forgot to write down the chart number, unfortunately. But yeah, there's basically one of these for each day in that chart, all 12 days. I completed this on May 21st, and this is stitched on 32 count platinum Lugana using the recommended fibers, which, given it's a Prairie Schooler, means DMC. So, yep. I'm planning to stitch all 12 of them. I've already got the fabric cut for all 12 of them and everything. So that was the first one. The next one actually has 3 finishes and a whip on it. So as if you remember, I am doing the Glitter Village series from Country Cottage Needleworks. And I'm stitching them all on a single piece of fabric, but I'm counting each house individually as a new start and finish when I finish it, because they're all individual charts. I'm just choosing to stitch them on a single piece of fabric. So when we last spoke, I had houses 1 through 3 finished. Since then, I have completed houses 4 through 6. So this is house number 4, house number 5, which is actually the church, is the center, and then this is house number 6. So 4, 5, 6. And even though I have a section for whips, I'll just go on and show this now since I have it up and out. And I have started house 7. So I have a really good start on it. The only thing, once I get the house filled in, I'll need to finish this tree. Then there's a large tree here at the side with a little picket fence, and then there's some little flowers here across the bottom. So that is house 7. And now we'll go back into finish mode after a temporary detour into whips. Let me get this folded up and out of the way. Oh, and I forgot to give the dates on when I finished these. So let me pull it back again once I got it folded up. So house number 4, which is this one with the standing deer, I finished that on May 22nd. And this is on the called for 32 count opalescent raw silver linen. House 5, which was the church, I finished that on May 24th, so that one only took me a couple of days to stitch. Then house number 6 with the sitting deer, I finished on October 23rd. So I did take a bit of a break of that. My goal had been to finish one house per month. And so that's why I stitched that house 5 so quick, because that was the May house, because I was lining them up with the calendar. So I did house 1 in January, house 2 in February, and so on. But I kind of, again, once I got sick, I kind of lost the momentum with it, and I didn't pick it back up again until October. So the house 6, I started on October 19th and finished it on October 23rd, and then I immediately on October 23rd started house 7, and so I've been stitching on it since. And I hope I can finish it up tomorrow, maybe, or Tuesday at the latest. Definitely before the end of October. Okay, so my next finish was May 25th, and this is Penelope's Posies from Lindy's Stitches. This is a little pin cushion. Ooh, wind's blowing in the window, and it's blowing it around. I stitched this with the kit fabric, which is just a 32 count white linen, using the recommended fibers, which I think were DMC, if memory serves. I think so. Super cute. A really fast stitch, obviously, since it's just all those little dots. Oh, and that was also a new start. So since we've last spoken, I started this and I finished it. So, and this again was another one that was just like, I think I started it May 24th when I finished the glitter house, and I finished it the next day. So 2 days. Next was the Autumn Keeper Pin Keep. And this I had started during Mania. I don't remember what day, but I also finished this on May 25th. So I had 2 finishes in the same day. I had the Penelope's Posies and the Autumn Keeper Pin Keep. And this is from Barbara Anna Designs. It is stitched on 40 count doubloon Picture This Plus linen using the recommended fibers. I mostly always stitch with recommended fibers. I will often change out the fabric. Don't use the recommended fabric very often, unless it's just something that just fits so perfectly I kind of feel like I need to. But I rarely change out fibers. I just don't necessarily have a lot of confidence for changing colors, so I don't. Okay, so my next finish is Thanksgiving Harvest Fairy from Mirabilia. This was a kit, so it included all the fibers, the fabric, everything. So everything is as recommended on this one, obviously, since it was a kit. The fabric is a 32 count natural linen. And lots of beading, as you can see. Yeah, lots of beading. And I finished this on May 27th. And I had actually had this one in my whip pile for a while. So I just kind of started focusing on her again this year and got her knocked out. And I still have in my stash the Christmas fairy. I think that's the last one I have to do. I've done several of these Mirabilia little fairy kits. Okay, my next one is from Hands On Design. This is Mid-Century Gardens Part 2. And this was a collaboration series between Kathy at Hands On, Tracy at Ink Circles, and oh my gosh, her name is escaping me. Summerhouse Works or something like that is the third one. Name is escaping me. But anyway, this is the one that was designed by Kathy from Hands On Design. And I absolutely love those colors. They are the called for colors. And I stitched this on a 32 count Winter Moon linen from Zweigert. I know that one of the colors was, the orange is carrot, the brown is cappuccino, and the teal is verdigris, I believe. They're all Weeks Dye Works, if memory serves. And that was, again, another really fast stitch. That was another new start during Mania that I finished in May as well. Next, we have Strawberry Time from Barbara Anna Designs. This appeared in, I believe, the summer issue of Primitive or Punch Needle and Primitive Stitcher magazine. Used all the recommended fibers again, and this is just a 28 count antique white Jobelin from Weichelt. Really fun stitch, and I stitched this, I finished it on June 3rd. I think I started it, if memory serves, on June 1st. I believe that's when that summer issue came out. So again, just a couple of days on this one. But you know, this was during the time I was stuck homesick. And so I had a lot of stitching time because I was homesick all day. So. And then my next finish I can actually share. It is, I went a long time without finishes because I've been working on some of my bigger whips. So I haven't had any finishes lately. So my next finish, though, was September 29th, and it is my exchange piece for Fall Fling, which is next weekend. So I unfortunately can't show it now, but I will take some photos, and I may even shoot a short video that I can put in my next Flosstube video after Fall Fling has happened. But I will make sure that I, have it documented before I take off to Fall Fling so that I can share it later. But for now, I'm not going to share that one. And then my next finish was October 2nd. And this is a freebie from Hands On Design called Favorite Brew. And it was a companion complementary chart to the Scary Apothecary series. So it uses all the same colors. And it's really cute. This is stitched on 32 count Winter Wishes linen, which is from Fabrics by Stephanie, which is also what the recommended fabric is for the Scary Apothecary series, which I have all of those kitted with this fabric. So I'll get to them at some point, but for now I did the freebie. Okay, so that takes care of all my finishes. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 finishes since May. I think I'm at 20 for the year so far. Okay, so let me flip my notes over. Whips. So my first whip I'm going to share, and of course I've already talked about Country Cottage Needleworks Glitter Village. That's a whip I have. The next one is I am participating in the Deck the Halls Mystery Stitch Along from Caterpillar Cross Stitch. And this is where we are so far. I am caught up. The next part comes out, for me in California, it'll be Thursday evening, October 31st, so Halloween night. But I think their quote-unquote release date is November 1st. But since they're a UK company, I get it Thursday, the night before. So I'm debating whether or not I'm going to take this with me to Fall Fling, since that part will come out. But I'll be home on Monday. So, I mean, the piece will have only been, that part will have only been out a couple of days. So I'll have plenty of time to stitch it before the final part comes out on November 15th. So, but yeah, I've been having a really fun time stitching this. I am stitching it with the recommended fibers, but I did choose a different fabric. This is 32 count vintage Stormy Night Lugana. It's really, really pretty. It's like a wintry sky. You know, kind of gray with a little cloudy kind of modeling. I did make one change. The as charted, this says dress tree, and I decided to have it say trim tree instead, since that's what we would typically say here in the US versus dress tree. So that's the only change I've made. Everything else is as charted. And since this is those are just a basic block alphabet, it was very easy to rechart in my XStitch software. And if you didn't have the XStitch software or PC Stitch, you could easily just do it on a piece of graph paper, because it's just block letters. Okay, so those are the two main WIPs I've been focused on lately, my Glitter Village and my Deck the Halls. And I'm not going to show every WIP I've worked on since May, because that would make this video way too long. So, and I'm not going to share all my haul either. I wasn't buying a whole lot because I was focused kind of on catching up on some of my WIPs and getting some of those in a better spot. So I didn't really buy a whole lot of haul, but of the haul I did buy, I wanted to share a few pieces. The first one is, I'm going to start today, if I've got my calendar right in my mind, today is high tea for Off the Grid, which is a stitching group on Facebook. I believe it's always the last Sunday of the month, which is today. And so you can have a high tea new start. So who wouldn't want to do that, right? So for mine, I am going to be working on Log Cabin Autumn by Gracewood Stitches. Isn't that gorgeous? Absolutely. I got mine through Creative Poppy, so it was a PDF chart. So I just printed it out. And I'm going to be stitching it on, and I have no idea who made this fabric, or it's just a 32 count cream linen. No idea where I got it. But I had a half a yard of it, so. And then these are the called for colors, just DMC, but aren't those gorgeous? Oh, love it. So that's going to be my new start for today for high tea. My next planned new start as well, and in haul, I bought these charts. There's 3 of them. It's a series from Shannon Christine Designs. The first one is, or the last one I should say in the series, is Pumpkin Truck. This is part 3. So you stitch all these together. You can stitch them individually, but I'm going to stitch them together in a band and make like one long piece. So this will be the rightmost piece. Then next is Pumpkin Patch, so this will be in the middle. And then on the leftmost side will be Pumpkin House. I love this little kind of ginghamy border. So cute. So each of the squares is 55 by 58. So, your final piece will be 55 by 124, if my math is right. 58 times 3 is 124. I think that's right. So, yeah. So, I'm actually I have this all kitted up to take with me when I go to Fall Fling next weekend. And my best friend, Tracy, is going to be attending as well. In fact, I'm flying into Seattle, and she's going to pick me up at the airport there because she lives north of Seattle. And we're going to then drive down from Seattle to Portland because the retreat is in Portland. So, but that way it gives us a little more time in the car. I mean, and it's neither here nor there to me if I fly to Portland or fly to Seattle. It's like, I don't know, 20-minute difference in the flight or something. It's ridiculous how close it is flight time wise. So yeah. And I am going to stitch this on some 32 count Heartland from Picture This Plus using the recommended fibers. Sorry for the glare. I'm doing a bit of upcycling. This was some packaging I got for something, and I just threw my DMC in there until I can get them put on rings. So, okay, so that is that piece. And I also bought, when I bought this one, because she was having a sale on her website earlier this month, everything, I think it may have been 20% off, maybe? I don't remember. But she has another series very similar to this that is gingerbread houses. And so I bought that series as well. Super cute. And I have it all kitted up to go. And I have it kitted on that same vintage Stormy Night fabric that I am doing the Deck the Halls series on. Okay, so the last bit of haul I have to share is my unicorn chart. And this is a chart that first came out in, oh my gosh, words are hard. I can't remember the name of the magazine now. It's a long since out of print magazine from the 90s. And it was called the American Antique Sampler when it was in the magazine. And I was unaware, but subsequently it was also reprinted in Cross Stitch and Needlework magazine back in like 2010, 2011, 2012, somewhere in there. But I never knew about it. I did not realize it had been reprinted in there, and so I had missed out on it. And let me clarify by saying, I had the original magazine that this chart appeared in. And I had an occasion from a previous marriage where I had to just kind of get out of the house and get out fast. And I had to leave all my cross stitch stash. I mean, every bit of it. I basically threw my laptop and what clothes I could get in the car and left. Because I had about a 90-minute window where my ex-husband was gone and I needed to go. And so I went. And so I often mourned this chart because I just think it's so gorgeous. But I missed out on the reprint, never knew anything about it. And then I was watching a video, and so I've had it as my unicorn chart in my head for years. And I was watching a Flosstube video from Brenda. I think her channel is Handwork Maniac. I think that's the name of it. And she showed this chart and mentioned that it was available at Cooler Design Studio. And I was like, wait, what? And so I went out, and sure enough, because Sandy Orton, who is the designer of this chart, is part of the in-house group of designers at Cooler. And so they had made it available as a PDF download. No questions asked, no hesitation, didn't even really look at the price. Purchase. I think it was like $15, but yeah. So, let's see if it tells. No, it doesn't tell on here what magazine it was in originally, I don't think. No, it doesn't. But yeah, but this, just for clarification, this is in the style of some antique samplers, but this is not an actual reproduction. This is more of an homage to sampler styles of the past. So, especially a particular school, again, words. Didn't write it down, so the name is escaping me, but there was a particular school, I believe in Pennsylvania, that was known for this type of sampler. And so she designed it in that style. So I am going to be stitching this on some 32 count vintage smoky white linen. So it's almost like that gray, but this is a white with kind of a distressy look on it. And I will be using all of the recommended fibers, which for this chart are DMC. If my memory serves me correctly, which it often does not, but I believe this was charted in silk originally. I seem to remember that's why I had not started it when I bought that magazine all those years ago, was because it was, I want to say maybe a Verissois. And at the time, I just could not afford silks. And I think there may have been a DMC conversion for it, but I hadn't done it. I hadn't gotten around to kitting it up when I had to give it up. But yeah, now it's all DMC. So that, I don't know when I'm going to start it, but since it's my unicorn chart, I had to share it in my haul section. So I think that is everything that kind of has you caught up with what's been going on for me. I do hope to get back to recording regularly again now that I've got this first one out of the way. And that was the funny part, so initially I wasn't filming because I just wasn't feeling well and I was dealing with health issues, and then kind of lost the habit. And then once I kind of wanted to start recording again, then it just became so daunting, the thought of recording this first one to try and catch everything up. And my best friend and I had kind of talked about it, and I had kind of some anxiety even about it. And I suffer with anxiety issues anyway. I'm really hoping I can make it through fall fling okay next week, because my anxiety levels at times can be really, really high. And I never had anxiety issues until after I suffered my first pulmonary embolism. I've had 2 in the last 3.5 years, 2 bilateral pulmonary embolisms. But my anxiety is really high since then. And I have spoken to a therapist about it. And she did some research. And apparently it's very common for people who have had a catastrophic type health issue, which I was in ICU for 5 days with my first one and ICU for 3 days with the second one. But especially for something like that, that's a sudden onset type problem, because you have this anxiety when you go out that what happens if you have another one, kind of thing. And so travel makes my anxiety really, really high, and being around, a large group of people makes my anxiety really, really high, because, immediately my thought goes to, okay, where can I set there's a clear path that if first responders need to get to me, where can they get to me, kind of thing. So yeah, so I deal with all that now, which is no fun. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I shared all that. I may cut this out, who knows? I don't know if this will be in the final video or not, but anyway, I don't even remember now what I was talking about. Yeah. Oh, anxiety of recording this video. That's what it was. But yeah, so my anxiety just kind of was getting the better of me, and it was just like, oh my gosh, there's so much to go over, and so much. And I was talking to my best friend, and she said, well, don't go over everything. Just share your finishes, share a couple of the whips you're working on right now, and, maybe share a few things of haul. You don't have to share 5-6 months worth of stuff. No one's going to expect that, and so that really helped bring the anxiety about getting this first one done. It helped kind of ease that. So, but anyway, my goal is to get back to my past schedule of posting at least every other week. I am stitching a lot right now. I'm kind of in stitching mode. I think maybe because we're coming into the holiday season, and that's always like a favorite time for me to stitch. So I don't know. I'm contemplating maybe trying to do weekly ones, but don't hold me to it. It's probably going to be every other week if I'm being honest. So, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. If I film weekly, I'll have much shorter videos, obviously. So it'll be a lot faster to just get one recorded, get it uploaded, and get back to stitching. But I kind of feel like 2 weeks is a good pace for me, because since I do work full time, I'm only able to stitch at night, and part of me worries that if I do one every week, I won't have enough to really share. So I kind of feel like 2 weeks is a better option. So we'll see. We'll weigh it out. But anyway, so that's everything. Thanks so much for popping back in and joining me. If you previously watched me when I was branded as the Daily Mel, I would love, if you're a Flosstuber, if you would give me a shout out to let people know I have rebranded and that they can find me as Stitcher Mel now. If you go to YouTube and just search Stitcher Mel channel, it should pop right up. So yeah, I think that's everything. I hope everyone has a lovely Halloween. If you have trick-or-treaters to take out, I hope they get a good amount of candy. And I will see you all soon. Bye.